Trumpet great Louis Armstrong lived with his wife Lucille in a modest home in Corona, Queens from 1943 until his death in 1971. The home has been maintained as they lived in it. Here's Michael Cogswell, director of the Louis Armstrong House Museum, giving us a tour.
Lucille bought this house without Louis ever having seen it. She gave him the address. When you come home from your tour, this is where you live. He got a cab 2 or 3 in the morning. He came out here to Corona. He looked up at this house. It wasn't covered with brick then, but same house. And he couldn't believe this was his house. Louis grew up very poor, and this house was too grand for his imagination. He told the driver, "Man, quit kidding me and take me to the address I gave you." The driver said, "No, this is it." So Louis walked up the front steps, rang the doorbell. Lucille opened the door. "Welcome home, honey." And "Is this our home?" "Yes, it is." He came in, he fell in love with the house, he lived in the house for the rest of his life.
Armstrong liked to meet his neighbors and even play with local kids on the steps of his home. Inside, he was just as comfortable.
This is the room we spend the most time in. Louis Armstrong sat in that chair at this desk. He wrote letters to his friends and fans. He talked on the telephone. He visited with friends and neighbors. He worked on his second autobiography, Satchmo, My Life in New Orleans. He listened to tapes. He made tapes. He listened to records. This is Louis's room. When Louis was home, this is where he spent most of his time. I'll tell you, Lucille's family at first was not crazy about the idea of her marrying Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong was already famous. He was typically on the road 300 days per year, and in fact he'd been married 3 times before and was not yet divorced from his 3rd wife. They weren't living together. Louis had a habit of not bothering with the bureaucratic red tape to get a divorce from one wife until he needed it to marry the next wife. That's what happened in this case. Louis was performing in Chicago. He appeared before a judge one morning in Chicago, got a divorce from Alpha, wife number 3, who lived in Chicago. To his surprise, Lucille had hopped on a train and come out from New York and was there in the courtroom. So Louis gets his divorce papers, turns around, "Oh, here's Lucille. Oh, what a surprise." They gave each other a big hug. They said, "Why wait? Let's get married right away." So Lucille said, "Look it, we can't live out of suitcases, you know, we can't live out of hotel rooms, we need a home." She came back here to New York, to Queens, found this house, purchased it, decorated it, gave Louis the address, and when he came home, this is where he lived.
Life is just a bowl of cherries. Don't be serious. Life's too mysterious. Armstrong. You work, you slave, you worry so. And Monroe, but you can't take your dues, blah, 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 blah. And rap on it. So how can you keep what you've never owned? Everybody. Life is just about cherries, so live and laugh at it all.
We have the largest collection in the world for a single jazz musician. We have the Louis Armstrong collection, which is the stuff that was discovered here in this house, thanks to Phoebe Jacobs and the Armstrong Foundation. That's Louis's vast personal collection of more than 700 reel-to-reel tapes and 85 scrapbooks and 120 gold records and awards and 12 linear feet of personal papers and manuscripts. Louis was a pack rat. Discovered in this house was all this stuff. That's one collection. We have what we call the Satchmo collection, which is new stuff we've acquired. Whatever we've acquired since then, letters Louis wrote to people are coming back to us, pictures people took of Louis are coming back to us. Call that the Satchmo collection. We have the Phoebe Jacobs collection, letters and personal papers and business papers from the Armstrong Educational Foundation. We have the Jack Bradley collection. Jack is the world's largest private collector of Armstrong material. Thanks to a grant from the Armstrong Foundation, we've acquired Jack's collection. We now pretty much have 3 of our 5 collections entirely in this database. And earlier today, we flicked a switch and put it on our website. And so here's the announcement. The essence of it is you can now go to the website, louisarmstronghouse.org, and browse through our catalog, browse through our stuff.